Sometimes a single moment can change the direction of an entire life. Sometimes it takes just one act of cruelty to reveal the strength hidden inside a quiet soul. And sometimes the wrong people pick the wrong target on the wrong day. This story is built around that exact moment when a group of high school bullies stepped over a line they never should have crossed. What they didn't know was that standing only a few feet away was a man known worldwide for his power, his intensity, and above all, his deep love for his children, Mike Tyson. In this dramatic two-part story, you will follow the emotional journey of Amira Tyson, a 16-year-old girl with a gentle spirit and a quiet confidence who never imagined her day would turn into a nightmare. You will meet the bullies who thought they were untouchable, the students who watched in silence, and the father whose presence would change everything. This story mixes tension, emotion, regret, courage, and the unstoppable force of parental love. Every moment is crafted to keep you reading, imagining, and feeling as though you are standing right there in the hallway when everything unfolds. So sit back, relax, and prepare yourself for a gripping story that will keep you locked in from start to finish. And at the end of the episode, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful and emotional stories like this one. The bell rang through Brookwood High School like a sigh of relief, echoing across the sunlit campus. Students poured out of classrooms, their voices clashing in a mix of laughter, gossip, and heavy backpacks hitting lockers. For most, it was just another Wednesday. But for Amira Tyson, it was a chance to move quietly from one corner of the school to another without too much attention. At 16, Amira carried a softness about her that made her easy to underestimate. She was beautiful, yes. Smooth brown skin, neatly braided hair, and deep, intelligent eyes. But she didn't walk with the loud confidence many other girls did. She preferred sketchbooks to selfies, quiet places over crowded ones, and friends you could count on one hand rather than a million followers online. But that didn't mean she was weak. She just hated problems. Today, however, the problems found her. As Amira closed her locker, she felt a shift in the hallway's atmosphere, an uncomfortable stillness mixed with a twinge of dread. She didn't even need to look up to know who was standing behind her. Tessa Morgan, queen of the sophomore class, and her two shadows, Lily and Bree. Bullies in every sense of the word. Tessa flicked her blonde ponytail back and smirked. Well, well, if it isn't the little princess, she said. Where's your bodyguard today? Didn't he drive you to school? Amira's heartbeat pressed against her ribs. My dad's busy, she said calmly. Excuse me, I need to head to class. Tessa blocked her path. No, we're not done. The girls tightened around her like a closing cage, and in that moment, what Amira didn't know was that her father was on campus too, hidden, watching, unseen. 2 hours earlier, Mike Tyson, former heavyweight champion of the world, had stepped onto Brookwood campus wearing a cap, sunglasses, and a quiet smile. He wasn't there to intimidate anyone. This was supposed to be a simple surprise visit to check on his daughter after her homeroom teacher called earlier that week, mentioning Amira seemed distracted in class. Tyson took that seriously. His kids were his heart. Instead of marching into the office and making a scene, he chose to stroll around quietly. He wanted to see things naturally, to understand what his daughter's day actually looked like. But the more he walked around, the more he felt something was off. Teachers whispered. Students stared at him, then at each other. And in more than one corner, he heard Amira's name murmured in uncertain tones. Something was happening, and a father's instinct sharpened like a blade. So Tyson decided to wait in the hallway near her locker for the few minutes between classes. And that's exactly where he was standing, only 20 feet away, when he saw Tessa and her crew circle around Amira. His muscles tightened. He didn't move yet. He wanted to see how his daughter handled it, but he was ready. Amira took a small step backward, hands raised in peace. Tessa, I don't want trouble. Please just let me go. Bree snickered. She's scared. Look at her face. Tessa's eyes narrowed. What I want is simple. Stop acting like you're better than everyone. Just because your dad is... She never finished the sentence. She lifted her hand and slapped Amira hard across the cheek. A sharp crack cut through the hallway like a whip. Students gasped. Someone dropped their books. A small freshman whispered, "Oh my God!" Amira's head snapped to the side, her braids swinging. She didn't fall, but her eyes burned with tears she refused to let fall in front of them. Tessa smirked, hand still lifted. That's better. For 1 second, only one. Amira stayed silent. Then she slowly turned her head back, eyes steady and fierce. You shouldn't have done that, she whispered. Tessa scoffed. And what are you going to do? She froze, because from behind a mirror, footsteps thundered, heavy, controlled, dangerous. And as the crowd parted like water splitting around a shark, Mike Tyson stepped into view. Not smiling, not speaking, not hiding. And every student felt the air thicken. Even Tessa's smirk melted into panic. Tyson didn't shout. He didn't explode. He didn't touch anyone. He simply stepped between the bullies and his daughter, his jaw clenched so tight it looked carved from stone. His voice came out low, deadly calm, the type of calm that comes right before lightning strikes. Did you just put your hands on my daughter? No one answered. Tessa trembled. Bree swallowed hard. Lily looked ready to faint. Tyson stepped closer, not attacking, but towering with a quiet intensity that made every student back away. You think it's funny to pick on someone smaller than you, he asked, staring right at Tessa. You think you're brave because you have your little friends behind you? Tessa's lips trembled. Mr. Tyson, I didn't mean you slapped her. The silence in the hallway felt suffocating. Tyson breathed in slowly, trying to control the storm inside him. He wasn't the man he used to be. He no longer solved problems with fists. But seeing his daughter's cheek reddened, seeing her flinch, seeing fear in her eyes, it awakened something old, something powerful, something dangerous. He knelt beside Amira first. Baby, he whispered, his voice cracking. Are you okay? Amira nodded, tears finally spilling. I'm fine, Dad. He gently touched her cheek. That's not fine. He stood slowly and faced the bullies again. What's your name? He asked Tessa. Tessa. Well, Tessa, Tyson said. You and I are going to talk with the school principal. Right now. Tessa's knees shook. And that was only the beginning. As Tyson guided the bullies toward the office, the hallway buzzed with whispers. Did you see his face? She slapped Mike Tyson's daughter? She's crazy. They're done. Finished. But not everyone whispered from excitement. Some whispered from guilt, because half the students watching had seen the bullying for weeks and had done nothing, including Amira's own classmates, and that shame would become part of the next chapter of the story. Tyson walked behind the girls, hands behind his back, breathing heavily to calm himself. He wasn't going to hit anyone. Those days were gone, but he wanted them to feel the weight of what they had done. Just before they reached the office, Tessa broke down. Please, Mr. Tyson, she cried. I'm sorry. I didn't know she was your daughter. Tyson stopped walking. He turned slowly. You shouldn't treat anybody that way, he said. Doesn't matter who their father is. And that sentence hit Tessa harder than any punch could have. While the principal was being called, Tyson and Amira sat alone in the waiting area. The room was silent except for the ticking of the wall clock. Tyson looked at his daughter, heartbreak written all over his face. Why didn't you tell me, baby? He asked quietly. Why didn't you tell me they were messing with you? Amira wiped her eyes. Because I didn't want you to worry. And I didn't want people thinking I used your name for protection. Tyson's chest tightened. He pulled her into his arms. You're strong, stronger than you think. But you don't ever have to face this alone. I'm always here for you, always. Amira leaned into him, whispering, I know, Dad. But neither of them knew that the situation was about to take a darker turn, because Tessa wasn't the only problem. There was someone else watching from a distance, someone who hated the fact that their leader had been humbled, someone whose anger would spark the second part of the story. While Tyson and Amira sat in the principal's office, the hallway outside buzzed with a mix of fear and excitement. Everyone knew something big had happened, but most students didn't know the full truth. However, one student knew everything. Darius Cole, captain of the junior basketball team, tall, popular, and feared for all the wrong reasons. He wasn't part of Tessa's group, but he controlled them from the shadows. They admired him, followed him, and sometimes acted on his commands. And he didn't like what had just happened. Darius leaned against a pillar, arms crossed, jaw tight. He had watched Tessa and her group walk toward the office behind Mike Tyson, and rage simmered inside him. How did they let that old man walk all over them? He muttered. A freshman whispered near him. That's Mike Tyson. He wasn't just talking, man. He looked like he was ready to explode. Darius didn't care. In his world, reputation was everything. Losing face meant losing power, and when he learned that Tessa got slapped back by consequences, something she never faced, he felt it reflected on him too. So he made a decision. A bad one. A dangerous one. He would confront Amira himself after school. Not because he wanted to hurt her physically, but because he wanted to reclaim control. He wanted to scare her, intimidate her, make her feel small. He had no idea that this decision would bring him face to face with something far greater than fear. Inside the office, Principal Hayes sat across from Tyson, hands folded, trying to navigate the tense atmosphere. He was a calm man, known for fairness, and he had always liked Amira. "Mr. Tyson," he said gently, "I'm deeply sorry this happened. I assure you, severe disciplinary action will be taken." Tyson nodded, but his eyes remained fixed on the three trembling girls seated on the opposite bench. "You can't just discipline this," Tyson said quietly. "You need to fix the culture. Kids think bullying is normal." Principal Hayes sighed. "You're right. And we're working on programs, but it takes time." Tyson leaned forward, voice steady but heavy. "Time is something bullied kids don't always have." There was a long silence, then Tessa burst into tears again. I'm sorry. I really am," she stammered. I didn't know she was your daughter. I swear I didn't mean to." Tyson cut her off with a raised hand. "Listen carefully," he said. "Hurting someone is wrong, whether they're the daughter of a celebrity or the daughter of a janitor. Weak people bully, strong people protect." The room fell silent. Lily and Bree lowered their heads, and for the first time in a long time, Tessa actually listened. Principal Hayes exhaled slowly. "I'll be calling your parents, all of them." The girls nodded, defeated, but the drama was far from over, because right outside the school gate, someone was waiting. The final bell rang. Students poured out like a flood. Amira walked beside her father, feeling safe but still shaken. Tyson carried her backpack, his hand resting protectively on her shoulder. "Dad," Amira whispered, "you don't have to walk me to the gate. People are staring." "I don't care," Tyson said calmly. "Let them stare." But Amira didn't realize they weren't staring at Tyson. They were staring at Darius. He stood in the middle of the pathway like a blockade, chin lifted, eyes fixed on them. His friends stood behind him, arms folded, trying to look tough. Tyson noticed instantly. His steps slowed, his tone deepened. "Stay behind me," he murmured. Amira's eyes widened. "No, not him." "Who?" Tyson asked quietly. "Darius," she whispered. "He runs the group behind the bullying. He's worse than all of them." A pulse of anger hit Tyson's chest. He stepped forward slowly, like a storm cloud rolling in. Darius smirked. "So this is the dad. Thought you'd be taller." Tyson raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," Darius said, stepping closer. "Your daughter thinks she's better than everyone. She walks around like she's untouchable, and you think you can come here and embarrass people? Nah, that ain't happening. Not with me." Students whispered around them, forming a circle. Darius had no idea he was poking a lion. Tyson took one calm step forward. Every eye in the courtyard locked onto him. "Son," he said quietly, "I don't know what you think you're doing, but you need to step aside." Darius smirked wider. "Why? You gonna hit me? Go ahead, I'll sue you. I'll own your whole house." The crowd gasped. Tyson remained still, but his eyes sharpened. He looked at Darius, really looked at him, and saw something deeper than arrogance, fear, insecurity, a kid who needed control because he had none at home. "Listen," Tyson said, "you're hurting people because you think it makes you strong, but a real man, I don't need a lesson from some washed up boxer." Darius snapped. The courtyard froze. Even Darius' own friends backed away. Tyson exhaled slowly, painfully restraining himself. "I'm not here to fight you," Tyson said. "I'm here to protect my daughter." "That's the problem," Darius said, stepping right into Mike's space. "She won't be protected forever. What's she gonna do when you're not around? Cry, hide, call daddy?" Amira flinched. Tyson's face darkened. "Back up," he warned. For a moment, Darius hesitated. Then he lifted a hand and tapped Tyson's chest. Just one tap. A stupid, life-changing mistake. Tyson didn't swing, he didn't punch, he didn't even touch Darius. He simply turned his head, and the look in his eyes made Darius stumble backward in fear. "You think you're a monster?" Tyson whispered. "You have no idea what real monsters look like." The entire courtyard shivered. Tyson didn't move an inch, yet somehow he had overpowered the boy completely. Darius's bravado cracked like glass. His hands trembled, his voice broke. "I wasn't gonna... I didn't..." Tyson leaned forward slightly. "Leave my daughter alone." It wasn't a threat. It wasn't anger. It was a command. One backed by the weight of a man who had survived far worse than high school bullies. Darius swallowed hard and stepped back, then another step, then he turned and walked away quickly, his friends scrambling behind him. The crowd slowly dispersed, buzzing with shock. Amira looked up at her father with gratitude and shame mixed together. Dad, I don't want people thinking I'm weak. Tyson turned to her fully. His expression softened into something warm, proud, and protective. You're not weak, he said. You stood there today. You didn't run. You didn't hide. That's strength. Asking for help when you need it. That's strength too. Amira's eyes filled with emotion. You think so? She whispered. Tyson smiled gently. I know so. But Amira wasn't done. She turned around and faced the students who were still lingering. I'm not better than anyone, she said loudly. I'm just someone who wants to be treated with respect. And no one deserves to be slapped, bullied, humiliated, or made to feel small. If you see something like this happening to someone else, please don't just watch. Help them. The courtyard went silent. A few students nodded slowly. Some looked ashamed. Others genuinely listened. Amira had done what even Tyson couldn't. She turned fear into strength. That night, something unexpected happened. Tessa messaged Amira, then Lily, then Bree. Not excuses, not self-defense. Apologies, real ones. The next day at school, Tessa approached her in person. I'm not asking you to forgive me, she said quietly, but I am asking you to let me make it right. Amira nodded slowly. People can change if they choose to. Even Darius, after being suspended, asked for a meeting with the principal and Tyson. He didn't apologize fully, but he admitted he needed help. And Tyson, surprisingly, didn't judge him. I was angry too when I was your age, Tyson told him. Anger doesn't make you strong. Dealing with it does. That conversation planted a seed that would grow into something better. A week later, Tyson walked Amira to school again, not because she needed protection, but because he wanted to. You know, Amira said, smiling. You look like you were going to knock him out. Tyson chuckled. Trust me, I wanted to, but that's not who I am anymore. Amira nudged him playfully. Good thing. Otherwise, we'd both be doing homework from jail. Tyson laughed for real this time. He looked at her, the strength in her eyes, the courage in her posture, and felt overwhelming pride. You handled everything better than I ever could have taught you, he said softly. I'm proud of you. Amira leaned her head against his arm. Thanks, Dad. And for the first time in days, Tyson felt peace. Not because he protected his daughter, but because she learned to stand tall in a world that tries to make gentle people kneel. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more emotional and powerful stories just like this one.